What's up, guys? It's me, Kamek60, with the first ever What's Up podcast. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Cool.
Hello, everyone. It's me. There you go.
As always, of course, because it's only gonna be you and me.
For the most part. Maybe we'll have a guest on every now and then, but that's... Shh. We don't know.
We don't know. It could be one of our friends, or it could be
the guy that
someone
calls
someone random on the internet.
Yeah. We'll go with that. Already awkward. Alright.
Already awkward.
This is what you can expect from the What's Up podcast. That's what this is. This is what it's called. Now, what are we discussing today?
Well, our first topic today is Space Force. You're gonna talk about like the story and creating it and all that stuff, and then I have about 10 questions that I have for you to answer. So that would be interesting to hear your response to it.
Yes, it would be. This is going to be a podcast dedicated to talking about the Space Course series because it was, despite Disney Infinity being so small, it was in my mind a big. That had a story. It had a story to it. It wasn't huge or anything, but it had I would say a well-developed story to it.
In my personal taste, I kind of feel like the story is very comic bookish.
Yes, and that's one of your questions in the near future, but we'll discuss about that. Yes, I guess we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Everybody has their own perspective of the story. The story can, and especially towards the end of it, can have several interpretations. It wasn't the most clean story. It wasn't as clean of a story in, of course, Disney Infinity 1.0 and 2.0. There wasn't much of a clean story, but when we got to Disney Infinity 3.0, the story was clean. I made it more cohesive. I don't know. I made it more put together. It goes along and it follows a certain path until you get to Space Course Untold and Space Course Revenge, and then Kamek60 developed Space Course Team B, which that is another thing we're gonna probably discuss. Sorry. How did you develop Team B? So we'll talk about that. Okay,
So you're asking me that now?
Not now. We'll talk about it in the later on.
Yeah, something I also want to add is when you were kind of making Space Course, you weren't planning ahead. You were always just making the story as you went.
Yes, that is very, very true. I would create. I would say, yeah, that was definitely the case for the Disney Infinity 2.0. The Space Course is inside that game, but I think I started planning ahead more in 3.0. Granted, like some of the ideas would come to mind, and I'd introduce those ideas within that, and then develop on it in a later installment. A lot of things, and one of the things you notice in the story is that a lot of, like, if I'm telling a story in the Space Courses, it comes in twos. You know, it always like has two installments to tell a story. So, for example, I started telling a story in Space Course 2.2. There's a reason why, of course, the reason why all of this happened, the reason why there was a story in the first place, is because, and shout out to him, Peyton, or Knee Slider, 1. It was because of him that the story started. Because I remember, I developed Space Course 2.0 and 2.1 because I loved making obstacle courses. It's something I did in Disney Infinity 1.0. I had space courses all throughout that game. So, but it was only about an obstacle course. That was solely it. Knee Slider, he developed an obstacle course space themed. It's called a space station, of course. And what he did, and what I liked about it is not only was it an obstacle course, but he added a story to it. And I liked that idea. And so took inspiration from him and added a story, and that story ended up being a huge thing. You know? So, Knee Slider, if you're listening to this, thank you. You inspired me. And without you, it probably wouldn't have happened. So thank you.
Of course.
So, let's go to the very first Space Course. Space Course 1.0, as I would call it. Back in Disney Infinity 1.0. Of course, Space Course, or Disney Infinity 1.0, those Space Courses had no story. There was no text creator inside of it. But if we were to apply a story to all of those Space Courses within 1.0, it would be where the General, which you would later learn that his name is Isaac, that is where he's a student. He's learning how to deal with obstacle courses. Because that will be something that's prevalent with later installments, you know? So...
Apparently, the villains of Space Course are...
They love obstacle courses. They love obstacle courses.
They're more into building obstacle course type of challenges more so than the Octarians.
Yeah. So I got an interesting story with the very first Space Course. That Space Course I think was the best one in terms of obstacles.
2.0?
No, 1.0. We're talking about the very first Space Course, and it was a really nice obstacle course. I kept building onto it and making it interesting. It was a nice running through it. It was very nice. And one time, you know, Disney Infinity, they had their Toy Blocks challenges, right? So one of them was an obstacle course, I think. It was either an obstacle course challenge or a space challenge. But I think you entered Space Course for both of those. It wasn't just one. Yeah. And I can't remember which one it was, but of course I never won any of the challenges. But
the only challenge that you and I won, where it just happened to be one of our racetracks.
Yeah, you won in you won in 1.0, and I won a challenge in 2.0. Those were the only two we. Actually, no.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it was 1.0 where you won the Rapunzel one.
Yeah.
You got second though.
That's what I was about to say. Is we won. We both won in 1.0, and I won in 2.0. Now I remember correctly. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I submitted. It was a race track challenge in 2.0, and I got, I think, first place. Maybe. No, I don't think first place. I think it was fourth place for Battle in the Town. It was very nice. It was cool to win that. But that's besides the point. We're getting off track.
Well, that's what podcasts are for. Going off track a little bit.
True. So, I submit Space Course 1.0 to Disney Infinity for one of the two challenges that they had. And I didn't win, of course, but when they did, they did the videos where they would show off whoever won the Toy Box challenges. And actually, when they were like introducing or showing off, it was like in between Toy Boxes, they included footage from my Space Course Toy Box. And that didn't happen just once, that happened like 3 times. And
I don't think it happened 3 times. I started noticing it like all the time. Like at the last 5 challenges, I think they had it. So they used your footage pretty often.
It was very cool, and it was an honor to do that. But so that's the interesting story with the very first Space Course. Of course, in my opinion, the later Space Courses weren't as good in 1.0 as they were in the very first one. If that makes sense.
It kind of progressed. Like as the story got bigger, the obstacle course got smaller.
Well, no. I'm talking about in terms of in the game 1.0, Disney Infinity 1.0. The later Space Courses within that were not as great as the very first one. Because I remember the sequel to that one, it was really bad. Then technically 1.2, that's what I'm going to call it. that was a little bit better. 1.3, sorry, was okay, and so was 1.4. So
So you're saying that the first one was better than the rest of them in the 1 era?
yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. So that's just 1.0. Space Course 1.0 through 1.4. That didn't have a story, of course, but that is, in terms of the story itself, if you were to apply a story to it, that is, of course, Isaac as a student training. We're not training.
Something that was really fun with the first Space Course is you would invite a lot of people to that one.
Yes.
I think even after you had the second and third and fourth one, you still invited friends over to the very first one.
Yes, because I was the most proud of that one. And keep in mind later on those details. Disney Infinity, of course, didn't accept my toy boxes for their challenge. And you can only get into those space courses with a special invite, if I invited you. So keep that in mind for later. So, now we move on to the 2.0, Disney Infinity 2.0. I decided to make Space Course 2.0, of course. That was me testing out stuff you could do, new stuff you can do in Disney Infinity 2.0. So, Space Course 2.0 wasn't really polished, I would say. I remember Caden York Gaming, he played Space Course 2.0, 2.1, and 2.2, but in 2.0, he had criticism for it, and with that, I took that criticism and applied it to 2.2. Because I'm trying to remember, Space Course 2.1 did not have rail slides to it. I remember that correctly. But Space Course 2.0, it wasn't polished. I used some of the templates that they had and applied it to there without any editing to it. So it was really bad. You had Creativitoys scattered throughout the ground, so it wasn't like hidden. So that's why Space Course 2.0 wasn't really that good. But that is when Isaac, referring to the story, that's where Isaac was training, and that, of course, leads into 2.1 as well. When I said earlier that the story has it tells a story in twos. So 2.0 and 2.1, those were Isaac training. So Space Course 2.2 is when story gets introduced for the very first time.
That's the only time it could have ever gotten introduced, just because of the text creator.
Well, yes, but I could have introduced the story in 2.0 and 2.1 had I thought of it.
Oh.
But like I said, Slider inspired me to do it, so I did it in 2.2. That's where I started it all. So, in 2.2, you get introduced to a new villain. The villain who is causing, of course, the stormy, dark weather back on Earth. That villain, his name is Master of the Stars. He is, in the game, a skeleton who is engulfed in flames. Similar, well, technically, the townsperson I used was Ghost Rider, so that is the reason why. So, you get 2.2 is, and the story in Disney Infinity 2.0 wasn't the cleanest, of course. So, you play in the first world in space, and you're trying to escape that dimension because Master of Stars is there. And Space Course Co., the company, manages to get you, the rookie, Isaac, out of that dimension and into another one. But that came at a cost for Space Course. Since they got you out of that dimension and into another one, they were stuck, left in that dimension, and Master Stars, as ruthless as he is, slaughters everybody there, kills and destroys everything. So that Space Course is hurt. Space Course is technically nothing at that point, other than Isaac remaining. So, Space Station, Slider's series, Slider's creation, comes into play halfway through Space Course 2.2. They are coming to assist you throughout the rest of 2.2. And then it leads into the bonus space course, which not a lot of people know, but they continue to assist you through that. That way they can bring you to Earth in order to bring back the bright weather on Earth.
Mm.
And then in the bonus one is somewhat significant. I mean, all the story is significant, but it's you get introduced to another villain. And what's funny, at that current point, you got introduced to that villain, but you didn't see him at all until Space Course Team B.
Uh-huh.
That villain, of course, his name is called Redface, and we'll discuss him later on. So, and that's kind of weird because it's like, oh, you get introduced to this new villain, but you kind of don't see him anymore after that. And I guess that's sort of me trying. What you brought up is that I think of things as I'm making it. And so I did that, but then I decided, oh, let me bring back Master of the Stars in the next one, 2.3.
Uh-huh.
Because after...
And then you sort of forgot that you made that other character.
Yeah, I forgot. But in Space Course 2.2, at the end of it, Master of the Stars does say, oh, I'm going to be back. So he comes back, and he brings along Stargazer, which is a character from Space Station, Slider series Space Station. He also brings, and this is another character from the Space Station series, is Darkness. So he brings those two as a team up and to fight you. So 2.3, you're fighting technically two people, because actually Stargazer becomes Darkness. I know it says in the story that, oh, Stargazer is killed. No, he's not killed. He just became Darkness. So you're fighting Master of the Stars and Darkness. So Space Course 2.3 was basically the dark weather back on Earth is back, and you have to defeat Master of the Stars once and for all in order to bring back the good weather. So it's a very Space Course 2.3, in my opinion, was not my favorite. It was a super long toy box, unnecessarily long toy box. And
basically the same thing happened twice. Our HQ is blown up. Our HQ is blown up yet again.
Yes, that's a reason why I say it was unnecessarily long, because I only created more toy boxes in order for the more headquarters to be blown up. So,
if I remember correctly, there was a toy box where you basically did nothing and you just looked at a blown up building.
Yes, that was like the third world. There's 3 worlds, and then I had to do a separate one for the final boss. Which the final boss itself, and had I gone back to that one, you had to fight a ton of enemies through it. And if you have... And sometimes you'll defeat those enemies really fast, and then the rest of them take so long to spawn. So had I gone back and edited things, I would have cut down the spawn time down significantly. To make that battle go faster. Because you go through like 12 waves of enemies. And that's an insane amount. So Space Course 2.3 was not the best, and it was very long. But by the end of it, you defeat Master of the Stars in Darkness. And so now we go into Space Course 2.4, which there's another story to that one. Back when developing these toy boxes, I developed Space Course 2.3, and I was frustrated with it because as long as it was, and there's a reason why it was so bad, is because it was rushed. First of all, I think I made that thing in a month, but it was rushed, and I was frustrated with all the logic going behind it, and so I decided I'm going to take a break. And at first I thought that would be the very last Space Course I would make, but then months pass, and I believe actually you, Chemic60, you are the one that encouraged me to make another space course. Because I think I was feeling down around this time.
Hello everyone, it's me, Kamek60, and today we're gonna be looking at Space Course 2.4 from our wonderful Mr. Cool, the guy who is not cool. Apparently that's what he's calling himself now. But anyway, guys.
And you upload. I think what happened was I had made a Space Course 2.4 demo, but didn't really make it public, or I stopped working on it, basically. It was something I started, but I decided I'm not going to work on it anymore.
Yeah, what happened was, I knew you were working on another space course for a while, and it was a couple months since I knew you were working on it, so I'm like, I think Mr. Cool is finished with it. Let's find it in his uploads and play it for the masters, because one, we haven't had uploaded a video in a while, and two, it'd be a good idea to do the show off some space course.
Yeah. And I remember you played it, and then you're like, "Oh, I hope he finishes it." And that's you kind of talked me into finally finishing it, because I had done the first world, and I just stopped, and so I had lost inspiration for it. And so you put that inspiration in me, and you helped me out with Space Course 2.4. So it allowed me to finish it. Mm-hmm. So my inspiration, my passion was refueled thanks to you. So, the story with Space Course 2.4, you are now promoted to being a general. You get introduced to a new character. Her name is Sally. Now, of course, that name to some people may sound very familiar. That is from Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally. That is what her name, of course, I took inspiration to. So there you go, a little development insight of how I named her. Yeah. So you get introduced to her. You have to train. Now that you're a general, you have to train again to prove it. So you go through, I believe it was 6 obstacles, 6 tests, and then once you finish those, you get transported upstairs. And you are given new information. You think Sally was saying that Space Course thought that there'd be no more villains after Master Stars in Darkness, but boy, were they wrong. So you get introduced to a new villain. His name is Lord Demon. He is just a demon. So now you're set out. You're now get transferred to Space Course's space exploration base. It's where they are mining for minerals and stuff like that in space. Mm-hmm. You have to go through obstacles because they believe that Lord Demon is there. And so you go through obstacles which Lord Demon sets up and delays you, and so he gets away. Also, accompanying you is Stargazer. He's back because Space Course saved him they helped him escape the darkness. Basically.
I just want to say something. You get to that mining facility, and then Lord Demon's like, you won't be able to chase me, Space Course. I laid all these obstacles in your way.
Yes, that'd be very true. And then, so Stargazer's there with you, and Agent Coulson, which is his name. This guy, his name is Michael DeGo. He created another obstacle course series with a story called Agent Center. And so he had been making toy boxes at the time, so I'm like, hey, let me have him in this too. So Agent Coulson is in Space Course 2.4, and Stargazer and Agent Coulson are just to keep you company. I took inspiration from Splatoon's single-player story with Callie and Mari, or Agents 1 and 2, sorry, talking to you while you're going throughout the mission. So that's where that inspiration comes from. That's why they were talking to you so much, is because I wanted to take inspiration from Splatoon. So,
Also, another thing, when development, what's this called? Development started back up on that toy box. You actually told me, "Hey, come and help me build it," since you inspired me to continue it.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you made me do this. Come help me. But anyways. And so you get to the end of Space Course 2.4, you battle a lot of enemies, and actually Lord Demon gets away. He sets up a decoy. And Agent Coulson has gone missing. And people are wondering, what's going on with Agent Coulson? Why is he gone? That leads into Space Course 3.0. A new era.
3.0.
Space Course 3.0, and like I said earlier, that the story is told in twos. So this continues the Lord Demon story.
Also, it continues every beginning Space Course begins with training, in a way, getting to know the new techniques that you can use in 3.0.
Yes, and except with this training, it wasn't as annoying as the previous trainings. It actually flowed like an obstacle course. So, and when you mentioned that to me, I never really thought of that as training, but yes, it technically is training, and I didn't think of it like that because it flowed so well. So, you get introduced to, you meet Derek, the CEO of Space Course, and you meet Sally again, and Stargazer is there too, and they believe that Agent Coulson has gone missing because of Lord Demon. Basically, Agent Coulson's gone missing. And Stargazer's like, I don't think that Agent Coulson would turn so evil by himself. And so you go in and you do actually find Lord Demon, and he actually has with him not only Agent Coulson brainwashed, but he has Master Stars and Darkness. So he found a new victim to make Darkness. Darkness is not like a villain itself, it's just someone innocent or someone of your choosing gets consumed by it. It's like a serum or a symbiote, or I like to compare it to like a zombie. So
well, actually it's more akin to the symbiote. I mean, like, Marvel only called the character the symbiote, but symbiote is a scientific term for a being or substance that needs a host to survive.
Yeah, okay. So, you need to fight Lord Demon in this, and you end up fighting all his henchmen, and he ends up getting captured. Easily. You don't really fight him, he just gets captured, he gives up. So it's kind of pathetic. Lord Demon, you're kind of pathetic. But anyways, that'll come later.
Yeah, that's why we sort of forgot about you and moved on to Masters of the Stars.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not. No, we didn't. That's Red Face you're talking about. Lord Demon is just he acts so strong, but yet he got defeated so easily.
I meant like we forgot about Red Face, but for Lord Demon, we tried to make him a good villain, but we just gave up on him.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay, I see what you mean there. So, Lord Demon is kind of pathetic. So, now that ends that two-part story. Now we move on to Space Course 3.1. We have a new threat to Space Course, because Space Course's headquarters somehow get destroyed like every day. So, who's destroying our headquarters? So, it opens up, you talk to Derek, and he's paranoid that whoever's the threat is gonna come destroy the headquarters. So he's like, you know what, go downstairs, it's like a bunker, go meet these new characters, Jake and Sally, and then go talk to, and Doc Green, and then go talk to Sally. So you meet Jake, he's in charge of the storage room, he doesn't have an important job, he's just there, he's Jake. So, and then you meet Callie. She's in charge of all the computer communication and whatever. She's in charge of that. So she's got more significance than Jake does.
Yeah, Jake just sits in a warehouse and just checks the manifest. So like, ooh, I love putting checks on a piece of paper.
Yep. And then you meet Doc Green, which Doc Green is one of the more important characters, one of the main characters. He's the
and the comic relief.
Yeah. He is the scientist of Space Course, and he creates new technologies for you to use. Flying vehicle, and later the Platformer 9000. He reinvents that because apparently Space Course lost that weapon after, I believe, 2.4. They lost it.
Yeah, and then later on he makes a teacup.
Yeah. So you meet those characters, and then you go to Sally, and she's like, well, we're going to transfer you back to the space exploration base, where we will continue to find out who is destroying our headquarters. So, you go to the space exploration base, and you can only proceed after you helped some members out. So you help those members out, find this guy, get his lunch, and then you go meet Doc Green again and test out his new Platformer 9000. And then you move on and you find out that it is the unlikely enemy. You find out who is destroying your headquarters, and you find out that it's another space company. Odd. The company is called Peace in Space Force, PSF, created by Chemic16.
None other than me.
Yeah, explain PSF.
Well, PSF was something to where I made because, well, I kind of admired what you were doing, and I wanted to start doing that, but more, even though I wanted to do what you were doing, I did wanted to make it different. So what I was going to do was I was going to do story, but not obstacles, but combat. It was going to be focused on being up baddies to progress through the story and the level.
Yes, and so PSF is what happens is PSF and Space Course Co. are now at a war. So this two-parter story is called the Peace of Space Force versus Space Course Co. War. I don't know. Call it as you want. But it's a main war between those two. Because PSF believes that Space Course is a threat to the galaxy, so they're going to try to destroy them at all costs.
They think they're trying to corrupt the galaxy.
Yes.
What PSF thinks Space Force is doing is they're telling their workers that they're protecting space, but really they're destroying it. But that's not true.
Yeah, so it's all a misconception between the two. And the General and Space Course just acknowledge this. It's like, no, we're not a threat at all. So they try to convince PSF, or the main person of PSF, Susan. But PSF is so stubborn, they do not believe you. And so they're continuing to battle you in 3.1. And this was kind of sloppy of them. They just like, hey, we captured a villain, fight him. It's like, I don't know.
I actually, it's very interesting of how you portrayed PSF, because even though you weren't doing this on purpose, you kind of portrayed how I would run a company, almost like I sort of almost feel like I would be that stubborn, and I sort of kind of feel like I would take the villains that I've captured and brainwash them to fight for me, just because I would think, wow, that's pretty cool. I was fighting against you, but now you're on my side.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept, and I just continue to develop that, because I'm like, technically, in real life, as a person, you are stubborn, so I'm like, hey, let me just put that characteristic into PSF. I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
I'm just kidding. Don't.
I didn't. Oh, it wasn't? I was gonna say, I was surprised if you actually did that.
Yeah, oh no. Secrets. But anyways, so you, by the end of 3.1, you're like, okay, give up. We defeated all your enemies. Let's talk about this. And they're like, oh yeah, we will talk about it. And then they destroy your headquarters again, so you have to leave. And they're like, haha, you let your guard down so easily. So then now we go into Space Course 3.2, Part 2 of the war. And you go back, and the 3.1 headquarters has been destroyed, and they killed Sally. Sally was killed in 3.1. So you go and you.
What if that wasn't Sally? What if that was a fake Sally?
No. But you go and you discover Sally's body, and you just have to go back, and you go back to an old headquarters. It was the headquarters that you saw in Space Force 3.0. It was kind of like left forgotten, but they ended up coming back to it, and they set up headquarters there instead, and it becomes a permanent headquarters. Because it's in such a remote location, they can't destroy it, because they don't know where it's at. So you go back there, and they talk more about PSF and why they shouldn't be an enemy, and they give a reason as to why they're having a war. It's all based on misleading stuff. It's based on a lie. What the lie was is that they were sending nasty messages to each other, but they were never sending messages to each other. It was all just a lie. No, not Space Force didn't send nasty messages to them, and PSF didn't send nasty messages to Space Force.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is behind it. Someone is behind it.
And that somebody is...
We'll find out in 3.3. Anyways.
Find out in 3.3. I think I already know it. It's...
in Space Course 3.2. Space Course 3.2, so you're trying to go...
I feel like doing a joke, but at the same time I don't. That's why I kept on doing pauses.
Yeah. Don't. So, Space Course 3.2, the whole premise of that one is to basically go find PSF. Go to PSF headquarters itself and talk to them, fight them, and just make amends. And so by the end of Space Course 3.2, you end up going to their meeting room and talking to them. Be like, we don't mean to do this, we're not bad. Someone else is behind this, and we need your help to defeat them, because we have an idea of who they are. We need some help. So we're like, fine, we'll help. We don't want to, but we'll help. Okay. So 3.3. You recognize there's a huge threat on the horizon. So the general has the idea, it's like, okay, we can't fight this alone. We can't just fight this with PSF. So we need more help. So the general has the idea, okay, PSF, we need to get Space Station and Agent Center to help us out. PSF, you go and get Space Station to help us, and Space Course will go get Agent Center to help us.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're off and you're trying to go to Agent Center, and there's a mysterious person that is always around you. He's haunting you. It's the guy with the red glowing eyes, and he's trying to get into your mind.
He's watching you from the sky.
Yes, he's always watching. And so you progressively, you encounter him a lot throughout 3.3. You're trying to get to Agent Center, and he's always stopping you. He's like, it's just a game. You're being played on a string. Don't trust these people. And you keep he snaps at you because, in general, of course, he's asking questions like, why are you doing this? Why are you here? And he's like, don't ask questions. He's like, don't. And experience my favorite type of gameplay, and then you fight some enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and also I have a question. Before you went to Agent Center, did my Space Adventure come out first, where you went to you went to Space Station?
You're
like
Episode 3 of Space Adventure. You're asking whether it happened before?
Like, did I upload it before you did, or did you upload before I did? I'm just curious about that right now.
I don't remember exactly. I can look it up right now. Let me look it up. Alright, what I believe happened, and if I remember this correctly, we made a deal that we would release both of ours on the same day. That way, both of us can play through it and have a reaction to one another. So it did. It came out at the same time.
Alright then.
So, continuing on, you get into Agent Center, and you have to notify that you're there, and you meet Agent Coulson. He's like, well, we'll talk in a safer area, because out in the open is not very safe. So you encounter these two mysterious beings, and the general makes a comment beforehand. He's like, this seems unnecessary. And then a mysterious one comes in, and it's like, hey, things always are. And then the general's like, why are you here? How'd you... And then the other one that was talking to you beforehand was like, you don't listen, huh? You're not supposed to ask questions. So you continue on, and you talk to Agent Coulson, and you're like, we need your help. It's like, there's these mysterious beings. We're not powerful enough to defeat them ourselves, so we need your help. Agent Coulson thinks about it for a second, and then he's like, you know what? We'll help you. And so you make that agreement, and then you get called by Callie. She is saying that Space Station and PSF are not getting along. So they need your help, because Space Station trusts Space Course more.
There's a fight in the break room. People want the last can of Sprite.
Yep. And so you're like, okay, fine, I'll go help. But you didn't make it there. You didn't make it to Space Station at all. You get somehow hit, and you crash landed in this mysterious what's it called? A bunker almost. And Callie's like, I give up hope. I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. We're trapped here. And so the general continues, and he's trying to find the keys in order to get out. And so you encounter the mysterious being again. And he's like, collect all the keys. Oh, no. He's like, you're going to fight me soon. He's like, you don't know it, but you're going to fight me soon. And so, but the general keeps continuing on to try to get out. And then you get all the keys, and the mysterious being is like, you know what, I've had enough. We're fighting now. And then you get transferred, and then you're now somewhere mysterious. And you're wondering what's going on. You have the silent protagonist spell on you, so you can't speak. You can't speak up to this mysterious being. This mysterious being is revealed to be... You want to say who this guy is?
Comic 60!
Yes, it's Comic 60. He calls himself the creator, the master, the one behind the scenes, and he's tired of you, and he wants to end the story. So you go on, you end up defeating the master, Comic 60, and Derek's calling for your help. He's like, I need help. Everybody's gone. I don't know what's going on. The headquarters is on fire. What do we do? So General's like, well, I'll be there. He never makes it. So now, Space Course 3.4. It's 5 years later, and you're back on. You find out the planet that the headquarters, the 3.0 headquarters was at, is called Whodunit. Thank you, Nislider01, for that name. So you go back to Whodunit, and you're like, what's going on? Why is the headquarters no longer here? And so you go around asking for questions. You ask a police officer about the headquarters that was once up on a mountain. And he's like, that was 5 years ago. It was always meant to rot. It burned one night. Firefighters came out and helped, and that was it. He's like, if you're seeking more information, go ask somebody else. And so you find another person. And you find out that this person was a part of Space Station. Her name's Astra. You had assistance from her and her co-worker leader Titus back in 3.3. And she's basically saying that a lot of things have happened in 5 years. Space Station and Agent Center are no longer a thing. Space Station shut down, so Astra was sent to Whodunit, and then Stargazer was sent to Metro City, which is the city that Agent Center was in. And the general's like, well, what happened to Titus? And she's like, he got killed. He was killed. And that's what led to the downfall of Space Station. And then the general asks him, like, what happened to Callie, Doc Green, and Derek? Because Derek's not around for some reason. And she's like, well, Doc Green and Callie, I don't know what happened to them, but Derek I do know. And then you go around and you find chips to reveal a video. And the video is Derek's last message. He basically was saying that he let everybody down, and he is sorry for that. And that he can't live with himself. He let Sally down because his one main mission throughout the entirety of the Space Force series is to not let anything happen to Sally. Sally was so important to him.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she's dead, he can't live with himself anymore. So, and as touchy as this is, he commits suicide. He shoots himself. So he's dead. He's no longer there. So now, you've got Derek dead, Sally is dead, Callie and Doc Green are missing.
Now, you said that Sally, you don't know what happened to her. She's just...
No, she got killed.
No.
She got killed by
by
PSF.
You freak... I'm just going by of what you recently said. Astra said, I don't know what happened to Callie and Doc Green.
Callie and Doc Green you don't know, but Sally, you know she's dead.
Oh yeah, you were talking about Sally.
Yeah. So Sally and Derek are dead. Callie and Doc Green are missing. Mm-hmm. And so basically, Astra's like, "Welcome to Whodunits. This is your home now." And then you get called. You get called on. Another mysterious person is there, and he wants to talk to you. And so you go and you counter him, and the general's lashing out at him. He's like, "You monster!" And then he was like, "I'm not a monster. I'm not evil. I'm just here to keep a story going." And he's like, "Let me take you on a memory trip down memory lane." So he takes you to the very first space course. You play through that. And then he mentions, after you finish the space course, the very first space course obstacle course in 3.4, you ask him, it's like, "Was this very hard access before? It seems deserted." He's like, Yes, it was." He's like, "I tried to make it public to everybody, but the higher-ups didn't see eye to eye with me. And that the only way to get in here was by special invite." That describes perfectly how people in the past, in Disney Infinity 1.0, got into the very first space course.
Yep.
So then, he's like, "Okay, let's take another trip." So you go into the Space Course 2.4 headquarters, where you got trained as a general. And so, he's like, "Okay, go through 3 of these obstacle courses, and then come talk to me." And so you talk to him, you finish those, and you talk to him. And he's like, "Okay, you worked hard enough. Let's have some juicy stuff." Doc Green escaped. Callie, I killed her. She's dead. Actually, no, he didn't kill her. She died somehow. But I know for a fact that he didn't do it. He swears he didn't do it. And so he's like, "This is the end. This is basically the end. You have nothing else left to do but to fight me. But let me show you how. Since you defeated Kamek 60, let me show you. Since now that I have control of my story, let's see. Let me show you what the story would have been." And so the guy takes you, and he shows you. It's basically like a normal space course again. Sally is talking to you, guiding you throughout mission. You're trying to find a villain that's causing some trouble, and Derek's there too, and Callie is also there. In when you're going underwater, she's there. And so you basically relive Space Course. It's like nothing ever happened.
The only difference is the villain would have never happened.
Yeah, the villain you find out in those two worlds is that it was the Space Course member. He was the one. He's tired of everybody stealing his sandwiches and whatever, his lunch. He wants revenge.
I want revenge. I want revenge for the person I don't know who has been stealing my lunch and hiding it in random places, which we find out was Dr. Green later on.
And so, after you experience this, the mysterious being, interrupts. He's like, "No, this is not. This would have never happened." You realize it's just a joke. It would have never happened. I would have never given Sally MLG language. She said MLG language in it. She's like, "You what, mate?" So, and then he's like, this pathetic guy would have never been a villain. And so he's like, "Okay, let's fight. And so you encounter him, and it turns out it's me. I'm the villain. Me, quote unquote, Mr. Cool. I'm the villain. And it's time for your space course to end.
Now, because your name is Mr. Cool, I would expect that you would have some ice breath as your attack.
Ha. I'm too cool for that. But anyways, so you fight him, and I actually like this boss battle. It's in 3.3 you got introduced to a new mechanic. It's a boss battle where you see health bars and you're physically fighting something. So this is my favorite boss battle I created, my boss battle. You not only fight enemies after every round of fighting him, but you get on occasion go to an mini obstacle course.
Mm-hmm.
And it interchanges, and as you're fighting him, he's saying dialogue that he's broken. You know, these mysterious beings, their official villain name is called the Masters.
Yep.
So you find out this master is broken, and he's sad, and the whole reason why behind this story ever happened is because Disney Infinity got canceled.
Yep.
And everybody was losing hope in the game. Nobody was creating another space station or agent center, or I think you created a PSF after that, Space Adventure.
Yeah, I did.
So that was the main thing. Is like that master was upset that all this was ending. The community's dead. Why does it all have to end? He's sad about it. He's broken. And he's like, okay, you've defeated me. Oh well, that's the end of it. So you defeat him. He's broken. The Masters are no more, except for Kamek 60. Kamek 60 is still out there, and in Space Adventure Episode 4, he does something that will affect the whole story.
But before that,
we
have Space Course Untold.
Yes, Space Course Untold. Now, Space Course Untold is a mess, in my opinion. I don't know where it fits into the story because it conflicts with the Space Course 2.0 and 2.1, and it conflicts with Space Course 2.2 and 2.3.
Despite the fact it's setting up Derek wanting to protect Sally.
Yes, it sets up a lot of things. And at the end of 3.4, if you checked certain Easter eggs, you found out who the creator of Space Course was, Drake and Melissa. So Untold added to that story of Drake and Melissa.
It added to the two things as well.
It added them and why they are no longer a thing later on in the story. As you saw, they were never a thing throughout the entirety of the Space Course series, and it's because Drake and Melissa left the company and Derek took over.
Mm-hmm.
And Sally was a general, and she was fighting Master Star. She was unsuccessful. He got away. She saved Derek because Derek got consumed by the darkness. But Derek's like, I'm the leader of this company, and I'm not going to have you be the general anymore. I can't risk that. So you're going to help me. You're going to communicate for the new general we're training, or the new rookie we're training back on Earth. So that's Untold story. Timeline-wise, it's iffy, but we're not going into the timeline just yet. Just know it's happening while 2.1's happening, and it's like, it's basically, it's in between 2.1 and 2.2.
All right.
So now we have Revenge. Space Course Revenge. It's a big story, because it's tying up all the loose ends that everything got left.
Not only that, it has the least platforming out of all the space courses.
Yes, it was meant to be more story driven than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this title, Revenge, Space Course Revenge, because the whole name itself, Space Course Revenge. There's you never went.
Hey, can I make a comparison?
Huh?
If it's all right.
Go ahead.
Space Course Revenge is almost like the Freddy Fazbear pizza simulator of the series.
Yes.
Tying up loose ends.
Yes, but mine came before.
Yeah, you had the idea before him.
Ha. But anyways, Space Course, the title itself, Space Course Revenge, I like a lot. I love the title of it. Because, okay, throughout the whole entire toy box, you never went to space. So why is it called Space Course? Space Course, the reason why it's called Space Course is because it's referring to the company.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge has multiple meanings. There's multiple people in that story that are seeking revenge. Some are successful, some are not. Depends on, and it also depends on which ending, which I also like Revenge because it has 3 endings to it. So it depends on which ending you want to take.
Mm-hmm.
So,
plus you get to say it like this: Space Course Revenge.
Sure. So, okay. Space Course Revenge opens up. It's several years later since the General fought the Masters. So now he's just in a city all by himself. He's relaxing. He's done Space Courses no more, so he's just enjoying life. But he gets called. Someone's looking for him. So you go and you meet the guy and find out it's Doc Green. Doc Green's back. He's like, General, I need your help. Sally's alive. And he's like, why? How's Sally alive? And he's like, well, I don't know. PSF found her and whatever. And it's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's confusing.
Chemic 60 will explain that later on. But then you find out, oh, Derek's alive too. Why is Derek alive? I thought he committed suicide. Well, apparently he missed. He decided he couldn't do it. So now he's alive. So you find out, okay, those two people are alive. What the heck? And so you're like, you don't want to go on this mission, but you're like, fine. Well, it depends on which ending you want to take. If you accept to go on the mission, you leads to 2 more endings at the end. But if you choose not to go with Doc Green on this huge mission, you get the bad ending. The bad ending is Derek finds Sally, and they have an argument, and Derek kills them both. And then then you find out Lord Demon took over the world. And it's all because you chose not to go with Doc Green. But anyways, that's if you choose the bad ending. If you choose to go on this mission, you get introduced to Team B. You go meet them. It's Miles and Jackson and Ava. Jackson's fainted. Ava's trying to help him out. Miles is trying to deal with the ship, and he's like, then you get introduced to them. Isaac's like, hey, you guys need help? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, what do you need? And Isaac's like, well, we need some spare parts, and my vehicle broke down. And so Ava's like, well, I'll go with you, because I know we have spare parts. I'll go with you. And so she goes with you, and you go back to Doc Green in the ship, and you find out, oh, the ship's not even broken. Doc Green lied to you. First red flag. And so Doc Green's like, I just wanted you to meet Ava. She is my daughter. And you end up, so now you go on to this mission. You're going to find someone else to help you. You go to Metro City. You go to this facility called the Villain Facility, and it's where Stargazer is hiding out from space station. And he's hiding out there, and he's like, well, what do you need me for? And Doc Green is like, well, we need your help with preparing Sally and Derek. Maybe if you remind them of what once was, they'll want to come back. They'll stop their conflict. And Stargazer chickens out, quote unquote. He's like, I saw something in Derek's eyes. No, I'm not helping. You can't help that. You can't fix that. And so they're like, okay, fine. You have a ship at least that we can get out of here. And so he provides them the ship. They get out of there. And then in between that, you have a cutscene. It's Derek talking to his father, Master of the Stars. Which, yeah, Master of the Stars is Derek's father. It's really bad.
When do we ever find that out?
You find out at the end of 3.4. Well, actually, no. 3.4, that's where you find it out. But then Untold expands upon that. You do find out in Untold that Master of Stars is Derek's father. But anyway, so they're having a talk, and because Derek is trying to become a villain. He released Master of Stars and Lord Demon from the Villain Facility, and he wants them to help him go and get revenge and on Sally, because Derek finds out Sally's alive and he's angered by it because he would have killed himself over her. But she's still alive, so he's really upset about that. So he wants revenge, ironically. And Master Star is like, no, don't do it, Derek. He's like, I don't want to help you with this. You're not making me proud. And that really hurts Derek. But Master Star was like, I don't want you to follow the same. I don't want you to follow my footsteps because they were bad. I took bad steps. I want you to do better and go out. Your friends need help. Save them. Save everything from happening again. Because Lord Demon doesn't care about you. And he's going to hurt your friends. And so now that cutscene ends. And General, Doc Green, and Ava are now crash landed in a forest. The Lord Demon's forest. And Derek says, hey, you may not like me, I'm sorry, I'm not out for revenge anymore, I'm good. But I'm just warning you, you got enemies up ahead. Lord Demon, you're gonna fight him. And so you enter his fortress, Lord Demon's fortress, and Lord Demon's like, Derek, I don't care about you. Okay, I knew you weren't strong enough to be a villain like the rest of us, much like your father. And so he's like, I'm out for revenge for the battle that I had several years ago, which was in 3.0. He's like, that was pathetic. I'm here now, stronger. Let me fight you. So you fight him, and you defeat him. He's gone now. And so now, Ava, Doc Green, Derek, and the General now go on and crash land in another area. And it's outside of the Team B headquarters where Sally is hiding. Sally put up a force field around it so it's blocking anybody from getting in. So they have to stop at a satellite, turn that on in order to communicate and get in. And so now you get in and you're at the Team B headquarters. And now Sally is there, Ava's there, everybody's there. And Doc Green is like, I want Space Course to be a thing again. It's like, we all miss it. And Sally's trying to refuse it. She's like, no, I'm sorry. Derek's like, don't you miss what we had? And so it's at that point that you have to choose which, and as the General, as Isaac, do you want to help out with this conversation, or you want to just give up? So Chemic60, I'll let you choose which one you want to talk about first. Which, does he give up, or does he help out?
He helps out.
Okay. So, the General's like, Sally, I miss Space Course 2. It'd be nice if we could do it again. It's like, we can make it better. Team B can join us. And Team B's like, yeah, that's super exciting. Let's do it. Sally's like, okay. Fine, let's have Space Course again. I miss it too, finally. And then she's like, Derek. She's like, Derek, let's try it again. I'm sorry, I won't disappear this time. I miss what we had. And then that's the good ending. So, if you take the good ending, Space Course continues on forever into Team B.
Like it was supposed to.
Like it was supposed to. Now, the bad ending. If you choose to not help, if you choose to give up, the General gets mad. Alright, so the failed ending, it reads, the General starts saying, it's like, you know what? Stop trying to fix this, Doc. Everything would have been fine if you hadn't disturbed any of us. Sure, Derek might have gone insane, but that was expected to happen sooner or later. Derek interrupts, like, but... And then Doc Green's like, General. And then Isaac's like, I've had it with this quote-unquote adventure. It was worthless and a waste of time. I've been through a lot in the last decade, and I've kept all of this inside. Space Course is dead. It was a poor company too, and we did more harm than good. Sally and Derek, you should have stayed dead. There was more peace when you were gone than you being here now. And Sally decides to chime in. I agree. Sally, Space Course is gone. Doc Green, Derek, let it go. And then General's like, you shouldn't even be docking right now, Sally. I might be mad at Space Course right now, but only for what happened after you disappeared. Do you even realize what you did to us? We were pretty happy doing what we did best, but you had to die and everything went bad, and here we are at a standstill. Sally, you know what? We have a lot more in common than you may be calm with. We both don't know what we can do. It's scary, but it's true. You might make everyone happy, but you're dead inside just like me, with all that we went through. You were the reason for the death of Space Course. I never realized what I did. And Doc Green, this is what happens when you leave it to somebody else. Next time, if you want it done right, you should do it. Just do it yourself. I can't fix you, I can't fix you, and I can't fix you. This is the end of Space Course. I should have never came on this waste of time with you, Doc. You are just full of lies. Derek, try not to go insane again. Ava, I know you look up to us, but don't. We're not a good example to you, and nor will we ever be. I am leaving. Don't try to find me. You'll waste everybody's time again. Now, there you go. So the failed ending of that, he goes insane. He goes insane. The general goes insane. So so it depends on how the Space Course series ends is based on your interpretation. What do you want to? What ending do you want? And the reason why all of that happened is because of the Masters. The Masters were like, okay, you defeated us. Let's continue the story. So, we bring back Derek and Sally. Thanks to you, Cam. You brought back Sally.
Yeah. And in a pretty random way. Because as PSF was going along, like nothing happened. Nothing like Disney Infinity was being cancelled was going to stop them from keep on doing what they normally did. So while they were doing what they normally did, as they're treating the people that got hurt on the previous mission that they just did, which you got to play with, and it looked really nice and had a really good intro. You find out that surprisingly Sally was on that planet somehow, and she was alive.
Yeah, it's very random, and the Masters mess everything up. But the story itself, there you go. There you go. That's the story. That's the entire story of the Space Course series. Explained.
And then, at the end, you find out that I was using Sally to kind of stay in limbo so I could still be around, and I just needed someone to defeat Sally so that I could get out of limbo and return back into the world.
The Masters were certainly an interesting concept in the story.
Yep. And I made it a good deal for PSF and Space Course. They made it to where once I left Sally, I brought back Sally back to life. But she had incredible amnesia. So at first, she didn't remember Derek or Space Course. She's just like, oh, where am I?
So...
Oh, hey, you guys over there, you guys look friendly. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Which just happens to be Team B. Which, here's the backstory of Team B. While the whole war of, before the whole war against PSF, Space Course actually made Team B so that when Isaac the General got too old, Team B could take over and do the missions. But once the war with PSF started, they were way too busy to contact Team B anymore, so that's why they were never mentioned. They just weren't, they're just too busy to.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a huge story. It's a huge story. So, we want to go into the questions? Finally get into the questions.
Yeah, we're finally getting to the questions. It is now, I believe, part 2 of our podcast. This is wild. I mean, I thought it was going to be long. I didn't think it was going to be this long. Alright. So, let's get into the first question, shall we?
Okay.
Alright. What was your inspiration to start making Space Course? I'm not quite sure if you already mentioned this, but maybe you could put more explanation of what inspired you.
What inspired me to make Space Course? I mean, starting Space Course 1.0, I mean, I just wanted to make a cool obstacle course that was in space. And especially after the Toy Story in Space playset came out and it gave you the assets of the space. I wanted to make a space obstacle course. And then that later on, what inspired me to start making a story to it, Knee Slider Peyton, Knee Slider 01. He inspired me to make a story.
Yeah, which, by the way, remember to tag his Twitter in the description.
Yes, definitely.
Alright, on to question number 2. Also, if I have spelling errors...
Doesn't matter.
I'm just reading it off. Alright, so when you were making the story in 2.0, did you ever think the story was ever going to get anywhere or grow as much as it has?
Clearly in 2.3, if I just was at the point where I wanted to quit, I would have never thought of it. No, I never. Making the story in 2.0, as messy as the story in 2.0 was, I never thought it'd be big or grow so massive as it did. Clearly, we talked about it for an hour, so it grew really big.
Alright, onto my third question. I tried to make these questions would be, I think, what the viewers would want to know as well. So this one is, do you think our way of storytelling is similar to a comic book style of the story?
I mean, I would not. I don't know. I mean, regarding a certain announcement that's going to come later on, I would think so. I mean, it's got a story, the beginning and end, but it also doesn't. It spans on to multiple installments. So yes, it could be like a comic book. I don't know what you mean exactly by that, but
well, the reason why I think it's like a comic book is like we brought Sally and Derek pretty much back to life, almost like what comic books do when like they kill off a character, but then all of a sudden like, oh, that character's back because of some stupid reason. Like I'm gonna say a obscure one, like Marvel killed Nick Fury, but then they said, oh, it was just a really, really good life model decoy. It wasn't the real Nick Fury.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, in that sense, I guess you could say that. But, anyways, continuing on.
Alright, so here's another one that would be simple to answer. What space course did you enjoy making the most?
Surprisingly, well, I think I enjoyed making Revenge the most. Because I could...
the very last one.
Because I try to make it so story driven and so connected to everything else. I think I like just connecting the pieces, and so that developing that's what the whole point of that was. And it followed a sequence of events, and it had a really nice boss battle to it. It was really enjoyable to make because it was clean to make, easy. Yeah, basically like that. Revenge is my favorite one to make.
Alright, so on to the next one. What is your favorite character in the Space Course series? I kind of feel like I know what it is.
I'm kind of attached to Derek.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. I wanted to ask the question though, so that our viewers could know what is your favorite character.
So, I mean, Sally, yeah, but she was only there for like 3 installments, and then that was it. And then she came back for Untold, of course, because Untold, I developed that solely because I think for you, because you told me that you like Sally the most. So I'm like, okay, obviously Sally's a popular character. Let me just develop a story around her. But she's not the main character. I mean, technically the General's the main character, but Derek's important. Derek is very important. He's a lot of backstory to him.
Alright, here's where the questions get interesting. Like, a really random one is, what hobbies do the main characters have, if they have any?
That's difficult, really, because of course it's never explored in that. I mean, Doc Green, of course, has his science hobby. Sally, I guess you could say she likes playing video games. Derek, I don't know. It's really hard to say. That's a very hard question. Because
Derek doesn't have hobbies because he has such a dramatized life.
yeah, he's had a hard life. Anyways, continuing on.
So, what was the most easiest boss to make, and what was the hardest?
The easiest boss to make, it would be... I mean, if you... That's hard. Do you mean of... this is hard. God. I think the easiest boss to make was probably Lord Demon. Both of his boss fights were easy to make. Because Lord Demon's boss battle didn't have much to him. And technically, it would be the same for your boss battle, but at the time of making your boss battle, it wasn't easy to make. Because it was new. But once I had already done 3 of them, it was easy to make for Lord Demon. The hardest one to make was mine. Because not only did you have to fight enemies after you'd battle him, and there was also not only would you battle enemies, but you could also have the random chance of going to obstacle courses. So there was more to that. Plus, when I was developing it, balancing his health was hard for me to do because I didn't know how much one hit could do. And I wanted the boss battle to not be long, but I also didn't want it to be fast. So it was hard getting that right damage to be done and right health for him. So mine was the hardest one to do.
All right. So, do any of the characters have downtime in between toy boxes? So, the way that this question is, like, in between like 2.0 and 2.1, did any of the characters have downtime where they were just like sitting down playing Connect 4 or something like that?
Yes. That is funny because this is the reason why Sally got so mad at Space Course. It's because technically, Derek and Sally and Callie and Jake and Doc Green, they had a ton of downtime because they weren't the ones going out there to fight a villain. It was the general. It was Isaac. And so Isaac was technically like their puppet. They would like have him go out and do it for them. They would stay back and do whatever they wanted to do. And that's why Sally got mad at Space Course, because she didn't like that.
He's like security puppet?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But, yeah, so they did have a lot of downtime.
Yeah. They're just, like, I could just imagine now, like, Derek and Sally talking to Isaac, and while they're doing it, they're just playing Connect 4.
Okay.
And then Sally's like taking a picture of them and posting it on Twitter, and like putting a blue background behind it and everything.
All right, next question. I know there's another.
All right. So, does Star Wars have any influence on the story's plot?
I would say no, but I know there's certain plots in the story that people can be like, "Hey, that's like Star Wars." But when I was developing the story, I had no thoughts of Star Wars influence in it. The only why I say people might say that is just because of the Masters of the Stars and Derek storyline. It's like similar to Darth Vader and Luke. So, but
yeah,
developing it, no. Developing it, no. But people said that there's some similarities to Star Wars.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question just so you could tell everyone that if there's any similars to Star Wars, it wasn't on purpose. It was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Even though Star Wars did come out first.
Yeah. All right.
So, on to the last question. Okay. So, on to the final question, number 10. The 10th question that I have for you is, where would Space Course's story would have gone past 3.0, would the end of 3.0 have been different if we were playing the next game on possibly the Switch?
I like this question because yes, the story would have been different had 3.0, had Disney Infinity in general not have been canceled, and would have gone past 3.0. Of course, the story would have been very different. I don't think that the Masters concept would have been introduced, to be honest, because I think the Masters concept kind of came in solely because of Disney Infinity ending. That is the sole reason why they came in. More particularly, my character, that's the sole reason why they came in. I think had it not been canceled, I think they wouldn't have existed. I think it would have been continuing on to being a normal space course with normal villains.
Well, I think it was just coincidence because I had wanted to make the idea for the Masters, and as I was making this idea, they canceled it.
Yeah, I guess the idea would have been there. It's just but then now we had more of a motive to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Since we had fear that it was going to be the last one, so we were like, okay, let's wrap it up. So there you go. So there you go.
Yep. Also, possibly for my own self, space adventure would probably have gone by. Only, I feel like I would be juggling if Disney Infinity went past 3.0 because I would be like juggling keeping up Space Adventure and Team B at the same time. Like I would try to support both at the same time.
But then again, if Team B had been a concept past it, I would have taken it, since the story would have continued. I don't know. Would Team B be a thing?
I don't really know.
Would Team B have been a thing? That's the question there.
The Team B was a thing not because Disney Infinity was going out. Team B was a thing just because I sort of had a desire to, because I made space adventures, like 4 of them. I was like, you know what? Let's take a small break from space adventure. Let's make something out of Mr. Cool's lore, because I feel like I could do something very interesting with that.
And you affect my lore so much. You mess it up so much. It was very hard to keep a consistent lore with you and Space Adventure and Agent Center. I ended up giving up on Agent Center's lore, conflicting with mine, because I'm like, no, this is not where I am in the story. It's like, no, yeah, your lore is non-canon to mine. That's how I think about it. But
I was sort of like a fan, like making up my own fairies for Space Course.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the guy that created Agent Center.
Well, yeah, I mean, like even I was like messing up the story for you, making it more complicated.
Yeah, and I had to explain it all, but it was all explained. But anyways, next topic. Really quick. By now the montage is out. What's your impressions of the new montage? Montage number 2 of the Space Course series.
I liked it. There wasn't much editing to it, but the way that it was all put together, it flowed very nice.
Well, thank you. And I feel like the song fit well with it.
Yeah, it did.
Because, that song is special because I feel like that's Derek and Sally's song.
And
yeah,
you somehow always find a song that just somehow represents your characters.
Yes. I'm very. And then, did you see when it was showing Space Course 3.4, the special effect and dramaticness in it? With Derek's last message and Sally overlapping as a memory.
Yep.
It was very. When I was editing that, I got very emotional. I'm like, oh, it hurts. It hits the heartstrings. But
it hits the heartstrings.
It's funny you say
so
that. It's funny you say that there was not a lot of editing to it. There was a crap ton of editing to it. What I did with the difference between this and number 1, is I try to time it well with the music.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch it, it's timed well with the music. For the most part, it wasn't until like the very end after Team B's part, and then it started playing every single one after that. That's where the timing got messed up. But I think overall, I kept a nice timing to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I said that there wasn't a lot editing to it, I meant like you really didn't put too much effects to it. It was just footage with
text.
The number on it and with text.
Well, but it's not much editing.
I was saying it was nicely cut and edited, and the video's edited into a way to where it flowed really nice.
Well, thank you. And it means a lot. Alright, so now we're getting towards the end of the podcast. I want to make a special announcement. Of course, I'm not going to let Space Core's story die completely. What I'm planning on doing and what I'm planning on making, and in the near future you could see this, I am currently in the progress of making a graphic novel for the Space Core series. And the story of this graphic novel is gonna align with the story within Disney Infinity. So you're gonna get the battle with Master Stars. You're gonna get the battle with Lord Demon. You're gonna have the battle with the PSF stuff. It's gonna align very well with it. There's gonna be new concepts introduced, and new story introduced to it as well. And I'm not gonna spoil. I'm not gonna spoil. So, but there you go. Graphic novels in the works, and on the screen you should see a design of a cover. This graphic novel is going to be based on the events after what happened in the game, so after Revenge. So some of the characters may not be there, so it's just going to be a brand new story that is a continuation off of the original Space Core series. But you'll have Derek, you'll have Sally, you'll have Isaac, you've got Doc Green, you got all of those, those four main characters still in it. Some characters may not make an appearance just because of things that happen in the story, such as some characters may have either disappeared or just died in the story. So, PSF will not make an appearance. Team B will not make an appearance due to some recent events or changes. But it'll be the core Space Course, and then there will be more characters introduced. Different villains and people part of the Space Course team. New things will come through that. So it's a brand new story, not something based off of the original series. So I hope you look forward to that. I'll be working on that for quite a while. It might not be out for a long time, but just know I am, instead of making videos and stuff like that, I am working on art and a story. So I'm still creating. If it's not in Disney Infinity, which is now dead, I am still creating regardless. So thank you, and I'll let you continue with the video, even though it's already finished and done. Alright, see ya. So there you go.
Hey, Mr. Cool, while you're making all those concepts, you better make sure that you keep it in a book in case we're able to publish a art book for the series.
Already doing it.
Nice.
And I'll show you later. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Canmake60, you want to sign us out? Since that's what you do. Canmake60 signing out.
Yep. So, anyway, guys, thanks for watching our first podcast. Next time will probably be less of Mr. Cool talking and more of us talking to each other. We're going to be using these podcasts to talk about the games that we are playing and at the moment, and also just things that are happening interesting in video games in general. So, Mr. Cool, where can they find you besides YouTube?
Twitter, at TheJokerFan15. There you go.
And you can find me on Twitter at Kamek60. Yeah, it's just at Kamek60 on Twitter. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around an hour and 30 minutes, or whatever it gets cut down to. And yeah, this is Kamek60 and Mr. Cool signing off.
Bye.